I was born and raised in Mexico, and in Mexico the perception is different. So in America the dog is human, and in Mexico the dog...
Cesar is a global icon, and he is popularly known for his ability to rehabilitate dogs, even the most difficult ones. He possesses a very calm energy, and he has one of the most powerful philosophies in the world. Cesar has actually helped a lot of pet owners in their journey of transforming their relationships with their dogs. However, despite his prospering professional life, his personal life was slowly spiraling out of control. Cesar experienced a lot of personal betrayals and devastating losses, and soon he was at the lowest point. He found himself struggling with addiction and depression, and severally he would think of ending his life. So how exactly did he reach this breaking point, and was he able to find his way back? Let's find out. The rise before the fall. The truth and lies of Cesar Milan. His journey to becoming the world-renowned dog whisperer was not a walk in the park. It was one of courage, resilience, and an unbreakable bond with animals. Cesar has an extraordinary journey from being a young man with nothing but an uncommon dream and many unforeseeable obstacles to becoming a famous household name dog whisperer, and he was full of unforgettable moments as he set out to build a life in the United States. At the age of 21, Cesar walked across the border into California with no money, no job, and no English skills at all. All he had was a strong personal conviction that he was meant to work with dogs. The move from California wasn't what you'd call your favorite hitchhiking adventure. For a while, Cesar slept on the street, taking menial jobs as they came in order to stay alive. Yet all the while, he kept his natural instinct and love for animals alive. His first big breakthrough came when he got his start at a local dog groomer. His ability to calm even the most aggressive dogs set him apart from most. Soon enough, word went out the door. Cesar soon became seen as a specialist in rehabilitating dogs that were otherwise considered untrainable. Cesar avoided using treats or training methods that focused only on behavior. He used the psychology of the animal and used more kind, energetic, and leader-like cues. As his reputation grew, so did his number of clients. One of his early patrons was actress Jada Pinkett Smith. She not only became a client but also helped him to learn English. She believed in his talent and wanted him to pursue his earnest ambitions. With her help, Cesar was able to build a bigger network, and he eventually got some attention in Hollywood. His big break was in 2002 when People magazine put a story out about Cesar working with director Ridley Scott's dogs. The article was picked up by a bunch of television producers, and Cesar soon got a job as an on-camera dog trainer. Dog Whisperer with Cesar Milan, the show debuted in 2004. It became a massive hit for the National Geographic Channel, showcasing his ability to rehabilitate even the most challenging dogs using calm and assertive leadership. Cesar's concept was straightforward and profound. Dogs do not need affection. They need exercise, discipline, and then affection. His methods were revolutionary, and they reverberated worldwide. Millions of people tuned in to watch Cesar change aggressive, anxious, and disobedient pups into calm, obedient companions. As news of him spread, Cesar became a household name and his influence deepened. He opened the Dog Psychology Center in Los Angeles, where he worked with some of the world's most challenging pups. He wrote many best-selling books including Cesar's Way, sharing his mind-shifting philosophy with dog owners in need of help. Despite his success, Cesar remained committed to his cause. He founded the Cesar Milan PAC Project, a non-profit organization dedicated to animal rescue and responsible pet ownership. The impact of Cesar's television show also went far beyond television. He became a worldwide authority on dog behavior and helped strengthen people's relationships with their dogs. The perfect storm: divorce, business betrayal, and loss. Cesar Milan, often known throughout the world as the Dog Whisperer, seemed to live the life of many dreams. Famous for his extraordinary ability to bond with and rehabilitate dogs, Cesar received international acclaim, television stardom, and a successful business empire. However, beneath that layer of success, Cesar was confronted with tremendous personal challenges that would test his strength and alter his path in life. With the popularity of his show Dog Whisperer with Cesar Milan, Cesar became the go-to figure in people's minds. His innovative approach to the problem of recovering dogs seemed like a winner in the eyes of millions of people. And the result was numerous book deals, international tours, and the founding of the Dog Psychology Center in Los Angeles. While these numerous engagements were a welcome development for Cesar, it also meant more responsibilities for him to cater to. Managing a multifaceted company involved not only time but also an emotional investment. His expectation of consistently accomplishing some form of positive change, along with the scrutiny that comes with public life, started to weigh heavily on Cesar. The same passion that led him to stardom now seemed to consume every aspect of his existence, leaving no room for his personal time. Meanwhile, as the strains and demands of his work increased, his personal life began to deviate. His marriage to Cesar Milan, which was founded upon a solid partnership in friendship and business, started to collapse under the weight of this immense workload. In the constant travel and the endless demands of his empire, the couple's relationship began to splinter into pieces. In June 2010, there was a fight between the couple and Mrs. Cesar Milan filed for divorce. Not only was the divorce an emotional experience, but it was also a logistical and financial one, as they were inseparable from each other in their personal and professional lives. It was a major milestone for Cesar, who was left behind with the challenges of parenting their two young children as well as managing his business in a new way. Beyond his private turmoil, Cesar confronted demanding situations inside his expert circle. Entrusting close friends with vital aspects of his business, he encountered times in which that belief became compromised. While particular information continues to be private, such betrayals aren't unusual among celebrities and businesses. Amid those non-public and professional upheavals, Cesar was again confronted by another devastating blow, the loss of his beloved pitbull Daddy. For 16 years, Daddy had been to him a confidant, a co-therapist in rehabilitation classes, and a model of Cesar's philosophy in action. Known for his calm demeanor and mild disposition, Daddy performed a pivotal function in Cesar's work, regularly helping in schooling classes and serving as a symbol for balanced behavior. Daddy died in February 2010, leaving an unimaginable void in Cesar. He overtly expressed the intensity of his grief, stating, "Losing Daddy hit me hard." His passing also occurred at a time that was personally difficult. This compounded loss intensified Cesar's emotional turmoil, plunging him right into a duration of profound sorrow and introspection. The convergence of those events, the end of his marriage, breaches of agreement in his professional circle, and the unfortunate passing of Daddy, left Cesar in an air of profound disorientation. His had been closely bonded together with his roles as a husband, a credible leader in the dog rehabilitation community, and Daddy's companion. The removal of those three fundamental pillars led Cesar to a place of struggling with questions of purpose and direction. This era of questions and grappling was marked by signs of enormous emotional distress, which eventually led Cesar to a breaking point, crumbling under the ever-increasing weight of his challenges. In May 2010, Cesar made a failed attempt to commit suicide. Recognizing the need for change, Cesar launched into a journey of self-discovery and healing, using the very standards he endorsed for INK-9 rehabilitation, balance, calmness, and assertiveness, to his very own life. Seeking therapy, reconnecting with family, and permitting himself the distance to grieve had been imperative steps in this process. Cesar also found comfort in his work with canines, channeling his expertise into deeper empathy and understanding for both animals and their owners. He adopted a brand new protege, Junior, a pit bull selected to follow in Daddy's footsteps. This new arrangement made it possible for Cesar to that he took would actually destroy the weight of his emotional pain. Soon he was found to be unconscious and was then rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, he was taken to the hospital just in time and they were able to save his life. But it did not stop that incident from becoming a very pivotal moment in his life. It was at that moment that people who were close to him truly began to see just how badly he was struggling. Cesar, however, never publicly discussed this suicide attempt till much later in his career. He informed people that he had already built a public persona of calmness and control, so it was difficult for him just to come out and admit that he was fighting such huge demons. Thankfully, after a few years he did summon up the strength to do just that. And so he released a documentary, Cesar Milan, the real story, where he spoke about these same struggles. In the documentary, he even revealed that he felt like a complete failure during that period. He believed that he had lost everything as a man and a husband, so nothing was worth living for. After Cesar managed to escape the suicide attempt, he immediately found himself battling with his emotions. It became so overwhelming that he even had to use drugs to numb his pain. This, however, was a terrible mistake on his part because almost immediately he became addicted to it. For that period of time, drugs became somewhat of an escape for him. Finally, he didn't have to deal with the suffering alone, drugs were there to help him bear the pain. At that point, it didn't matter that Cesar was known as the man who had helped so many people achieve calm and control in their lives, cause he was just spiraling out of control. The contrast was very clear. As Cesar was helping others regain balance, he was slowly losing his own. As a result of his addiction, Cesar soon sank deeper into despair and confusion, and he started using drugs as a means of escape from his reality, which seemed to be so terrible to him. However, the more he tried to push away from reality and get deeper into drugs, the more he also pushed away his sense of purpose. Soon the man who once embodied what it meant to be a patient leader began to feel totally disconnected from everything that once made him feel fulfilled. Both in his personal and professional life, he was lost. This same man had spent most of his time on earth teaching others how to be calm and lead with empathy. But now he is in the midst of chaos and self-doubt. He preached the message of finding peace through understanding and leadership, but he struggled to apply those same principles to himself. The impact on family. One of the things that Cesar did not realize during this period is that while he may have believed that he was in this fight by himself, he truly wasn't. He was not the only one affected by this terrible feeling. Cesar may have felt useless cause he had lost his family, but the same family had to watch him spiral out of control without knowing what to do to help. This feeling was terrible for them. The people who really felt this were his two sons, Andre and Calvin, who had witnessed his decline. The two sons watched as the atmosphere of calm and warmth soon turned to one of tension. They watched as the relationship between their parents soured. This is usually the case in most broken homes. The parents may be so focused on what they feel that they can't see that their children are hurting as well. The truth is that children are usually very keen observers, and so they can notice even the slightest change. Cesar's two sons noticed that their family's demeanor had totally changed. What once seemed like a very vibrant home was now filled with echoes of unspoken concerns. However, this strain was not only felt by the nuclear family, even the extended ones felt the strain as well. The entire family was once bound by purpose and vision. But now it seemed like the very fabric of what they were fighting for was slipping out of existence. Their gatherings, which were once filled with laughter and joy, were now filled with stories about Cesar's well-being. And this wasn't the most fun topic. Soon it began to get worse, and the emotional weight of actually seeing a loved family member spiral out of control soon led to a lot of strained relationships and helplessness. Thankfully, Cesar did not live in a fantasy world for so long, and he soon began to see the impact that his actions had on his family. All the late nights and emotional withdrawal shone the light on the pain that he could not confide in anyone about. And he soon began to see that this pain was beginning to affect every single person who actually cared for him. The moment he realized this, it became a heavier burden on him, as he knew that his struggles were the main thing causing his family so much pain. At that point, healing was not just fundamental in helping him mend his wounds, but it was more about helping him restore the bonds with the people he cherished a lot. The turning point for Cesar may have come when he realized that his children had become distant from him. They were now scared of their father and feared that he might do something to hurt him. So they took a big step away from his life and existence. At that moment it began to feel like he was definitely losing everything, and at that rate he would never get it back. This made him withdraw back and begin reflecting on his journey once again. He thought about his innocent children and loved ones who had to see him go through the worst time in his life. As he continued to contemplate on this, he had his wake-up call and even realized that he would have to rebuild his life and also mend his relationships. Cesar knew that he could not do this by himself and that he would need help to be able to accomplish this purpose. So he began to seek professional help. Cesar began to take therapy so that he could actually confront his demons. He needed to understand the exact roots of his problems and actions, and he also had to figure out how he would cope with these. At some time during the therapy, he was asked to bring his children to an open dialogue. This platform worked wonders for his cause, and through this he was able to express his feelings. He also asked for forgiveness and began the journey to his healing. Cesar did not want to lose the accolades, the fame, and recognition that he had gotten. They may have seemed hollow, but these very things were what gave him the personal fulfillment that he had. That in addition to the love he got from his family, which was now looking like it would disappear, it began to feel like he would soon become a stranger in his family. And this fear was the catalyst he needed to propel himself towards change. The healing journey to find the solutions to these problems that stared him in the face. Cesar, with the help of his therapist, had to revisit the very foundation that had helped him become successful: discipline, energy, and control. These virtues were very instrumental when he gave his philosophy on how to train dogs. So the only solution was to apply the same to managing his own life. So together with his therapist, they began to create a structured routine that would help him maintain a very calm and assertive demeanor. Soon Cesar began to live authentically. Just as he had taught dog owners to live with their dogs, he began to embrace all the honesty and authenticity that came with living the best possible life. The lessons he taught people on living with their dogs soon became the very cornerstone of his own healing. One of the things Cesar had to learn was how to master his own mind. He did not only master that, he also mastered how to control his thoughts and emotions. And this to a great extent mirrored the Dame leadership that he had constantly demonstrated with his dogs. He began to focus more on self-awareness and mental clarity strategies. Cesar prioritized those methods that he knew to be famous in helping reduce stress and also enhance emotional well-being. By focusing on developing the same virtues, he usually applied to canine behavior, which were consistency, patience, and presence. He began to gain inner peace. Another thing that truly helped him during this period was his connection to nature and animals. These were the same environments that he felt so much at peace in. He has always loved working with dogs and immersing himself in natural settings. This gave him therapeutic benefits, especially since interacting with animals has been shown to decrease anxiety and improve mood. As he spent every day caring and training his dogs, Cesar began to create a structured and more purposeful daily schedule for himself. This structure gave him a sense of accomplishment and also reinforced in him the importance of being consistent. His stay with the dogs also gave him the unconditional support he needed to restore his emotional stability. The role of dogs in his recovery. Working with dogs gave Cesar back his sense of purpose and also allowed him to see all the positive things that genuinely come with being dedicated and providing care to something. While training the dogs, he also got a deep understanding of energy and leadership. He realized that he was able to influence the behavior of his dogs more when he became more calm and asserted a more positive energy. Cesar and the whole world learned during this period that human-animal interactions had a lot of impact on mental health, and this made so many people subscribe to having an emotional pet dog. People began to replicate what they saw Cesar do, and they got a deep sense of stability in their lives, something they had battled to achieve for so many years. The structure that Cesar had not only helped him to manage his anxiety and get a sense of control, but it also helped a lot of people do the same. This structure involved him feeding, training, and caring for the dogs. Apart from this routine which did wonders for him, Cesar also added that just the presence of the dogs gave him a deep reminder that he should constantly live in the moment. He saw how these dogs always focused on just the present, and they were totally free from every past regret, and they also had no future anxieties. Cesar soon began to develop the same mindset. This perspective shift contributed significantly to his balanced and fulfilled life. Now most of the research done has actually shown that there are a lot of therapeutic benefits, especially when it comes to interacting with animals. These studies now show that owning a pet can actually lead to a decreased stress level, improved heart health, and enhanced emotional well-being. Just the singular presence of these animals can actually reduce anxiety and depression while also providing them with the comfort and companionship that they need. This theory worked for Cesar as his relationships with dogs led to his personal healing and also reinforced his professional philosophy. The public. Response: at the time all these were going on, the public unfortunately had no idea about it. However, when the news of his challenges went public, it sparked a lot of reactions. Some of them were criticisms that actually went as far as questioning the methods he used to acknowledge his humanity. They felt like he had gone too hard on himself and that he was only doing things that would hurt him more. However, this was not the case for Cesar. He wasn't too hard on himself, he just came to the realization that he needed to get a grip on himself and do what would eventually make him happy. This process made Cesar confront all the pressures that came with upholding his brand while also embarking on a journey of personal healing globally. Cesar's announcement of his personal difficulties erupted so many feelings in the hearts of many, and it sent a ripple effect through every media outlet. And his global fan base, fans came out to express their disbelief. None of his fans knew that he was going through such trying times and that he was even struggling to get back his name and image. Many people began to support him, and at the same time a lot of people came out to criticize his work. They were baffled at how he could even have such issues in the first place. Did he not believe in his teachings, or were his teachings only to help him make money? They began to doubt every one of his training techniques and told people that they should not obey his efficacy and ethics. Eventually a lot of fans came out and they began to offer their support. They empathized with his plight and began to pray for his full recovery. Irrespective of every personal issue that Cesar went through, he managed to confront the task of preserving his professional identity. His brand was synonymous with authority and expertise in dog training. Still, when his personal challenges surfaced to the public, it became extremely difficult for him to maintain his image and still hold his head high. He tried his best to appear unaffected while he still tried to deal with his personal healing, but this just made things more complex for him, and it also forced him into reassessing his role as a public figure and a person that was undergoing profound change. The comeback and new perspective. After he came out from the shadows of depression, Cesar knew that he had to do something to help society as well, and so he chose to renew his sense of purpose. With that, he began to channel his energy into launching new projects, books and business ventures, and he gave these projects his all and poured all his experience into them. Each project revealed a more mindful approach that Cesar had learned over the years. People noticed that during this period there was a shift in his philosophy which showed that true leadership actually begins from within. People watched as his narrative grew from an external dominance to a more internal harmony. They also realized that this aligned perfectly with his emotional intelligence during training. After making it through such a dark phase, Cesar became a huge advocate for mental health, and he found out that one of the best ways to help people was to make them know that they are not alone. So he began to share his stories of how he struggled with life, could not keep up, and ended up feeling empty and useless. His story served as an encouragement to all those struggling with pain and mental health issues. It helped them to find strength to go for therapy, counseling, and all. Soon it extended beyond his personal branding, and it became a global scale retreat to help people, and he helped a lot of people. Cesar's journey enabled him to underscore the importance of holistic health. What do you think? Was this line of events actually a turning point in his life, or was it just a chapter in a much bigger journey? Is it possible that his struggles actually made him become a better trainer and mentor? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.